Well, welcome to the podcast. Nathan Newberry here, your host. I have Austin Page on the podcast with us that you guys going to hear some insights with his fitness journey, his death-defying years and his story transitioning from being now a coach in the fitness space, helping people with mindset, fitness, getting jacked and getting healthy. We're going to talk about some of those things all the way through this whole podcast. Stay till the end too. We're going to talk about some podcasts. We're going to talk about some tactics around his coaching company and everything too of like how he's built it. So stay tuned toward the end. I think that's going to be really helpful for you. If you haven't liked or subscribed on this channel yet, make sure to do that. Write a review if you could. And then I have down in the show notes for all of our listeners, so many times people struggle with starting their coaching business or starting, a business or even knowing how to scale it. And so down below in the show notes, there's a full training of how to run ads, how to build a sales team, how to do AI and integrate all of these things and how to build a personal brand. So down below, check that free training out. It's my gift to you. I want to help you out there. Austin, as we're diving right into the podcast, I really want to ask you, what is high performance? What does that look like? How has that been really applicable in your life?
High performance for me is controlling the controllables. And those things within my life and almost everybody's life is controlling what you eat, what you drink, what you do with your body, what you react to, and probably who you hang out with, who you listen to. And when you can control those things, it brings discipline into your days. At least it has in mine, many of my clients. And disciplined habits, having a daily habit structure that you follow, elevates you mentally, physically, and it bleeds into everything else in my life and everybody else's typically when they start to get their habits and their conduct aligned with that better version of themselves, that future 2.0 version per se. Everything else starts to fall in line.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about like how you serve people now and who you serve.
So I'm an online coach. I do coach in person as well as far as fitness, training, nutrition, mindset, stuff like that. And that's what my background over the past decade has been. It's been more of an in-person coach trainer. And I have my own private gym, which I'm currently in right now. But it didn't start off that way back in the day. And now I have scaled that into online coaching because, like everybody I'm sure knows, you can only spend your time or spread yourself through so many hours of the day to where I'm able to help more people, reach more people, and keep people moving forward throughout my online coaching app.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man. We'll dive into that a little bit too, but tell us at the very beginning of this, the origin story of Austin Page. Like, how did this go? Because you have a really amazing story. Tell the audience a little bit about how you've gone through this journey.
Appreciate it. It was a different one for sure. I grew up just like a typical younger guy, hard-headed, stubborn. My nickname was Taz growing up as a kid into my young teen years because I just tore everything up that I got my hands on and just ran through walls. That and the flip of the switch that sort of happened for me from living a life of, at the time I didn't realize it, unhappy with myself, purposeless, not really having a sense of direction, a path, or any type of goals, like some type of North Star to aim to. I was just aimless, following the crowd, following the mob in my high school years, college years, and a little bit after that. And finding my way into drinking, drugs, chasing chicks, partying. That was all I was worried about Thursday through Sunday. And, working during the week, but working little odds and end jobs, nothing that gave me a sense of purpose. It was just enough to collect some money to support my endeavors on the weekend. And that got me nowhere fast. From there, I was at a party one night and decided I wanted to go home. Fortunately, I don't remember getting in the car. I don't remember the drive home. I don't remember the wreck that I got into that night. But got into a wreck about a mile away from the home. Didn't hit anybody. Didn't have anybody with me. Just ran off the road and ended up flipping my car a couple times. From there, sent to a hospital to where I stayed at this hospital in Richmond, Virginia for about 6 weeks. I'd ruptured my intestines, broke both my legs from the knees down. So I woke up with this huge gaping hole in my stomach, which was a wound vac. It's like a black spongy mass that's in your stomach, and it was sucking infectious juices out. And I was like, whoa, I thought it was a Twilight Zone. I didn't think it was real. And as I was coming through and was unsure about my future, what I'd be able to do with myself as far as like just physical capabilities, and was taking it day by day. But I just didn't realize that lifestyle and me chasing things that weren't returning anything to me got me into that position. Getting to the end of that stay at the 6 weeks at the hospital, they moved me to a rehabilitation center, and not like an AA recovery, alcoholic rehabilitation. It was like a physical rehabilitation center where I had to live there for 2 months, learning how to walk again, take care of myself in bed, get myself on and off the toilet, simple things that we all take for granted. And I did too. From there, that's where the seed was starting to get planted into me about building myself through fitness, through discipline, through daily actionable habits that's created the process or daily structure that I live with now. And that started with a physical therapist. Physical therapist would come into my room every morning in a rehab center. And even though I was bedbound at that time, I wasn't able to get into a wheelchair yet. My legs were in both stiff, straight casts. I still had sutures and staples throughout my stomach. So I really wasn't able to move much. They were like, hey, since you're sitting there all day, you're not going to waste away and say, woe is me, watching TV 24 hours a day. We're going to give you these rubber bands. You're going to come in and do some workouts in the morning in your bed. We're going to go through it with you. And that was the last thing I felt like doing. I mean, I'm sure that would be for everybody. You know, you're not feeling that great after you just did that to yourself through the wreck, and your morale is just in the dumps for sure. And once I was able to get cleared to get into a wheelchair, that's where things started to ramp up. There was a gym in this rehab center, and every morning the PT would come by my room and say, Austin, get your ass out of the bed, get in the wheelchair, roll down to the gym. I'll meet you there. In that gym, they would lock my wheelchair in place, give me some Gatorade bottles to curl, get me in the parallel bars doing dips. Anything that I could do in my wheelchair, they were getting me to lift over my head, raise, curl, do whatever, just to start to build some strength back in myself. And what I didn't realize at that time, because I wasn't into fitness before this wreck at all, working out, fitness, exercising, obviously the lifestyle I was living, that was the last thing on my mind back then. I realized the mental aspect that was changing me. Every day I started to build contentment. I started to build confidence. Instead of that fake false confidence that I was getting through the drugs, the drinking, the partying, I was actually building and instilling these points into myself, casting votes into that better, higher version of Austin. Every day I'd go down there and do it, especially on the days when I didn't. That was the real test, is the days that I definitely did not want to. It deposited a skill point into my toolbox, which was grit, perseverance, mental toughness, and overall just content, feeling good about myself because I was actually in alignment with like good habits, habits that were building me, not sabotaging me, pulling me backwards. You know, because at that time, before the hospital, I was typically just losing happiness in the same place I was looking for. I was taking 2 to 3 steps forward during the week, and definitely 2 to 3 steps backwards on the weekend. So I was never going anywhere, you know, and I just didn't realize it. Most people don't, you know, they're stuck in this negative cycle of doing the bad vice, whether it's food, you know, porn, drinking, drugs, you know, these things I'm sure can be done in better form than I did. I went all out on many of those things. But you get lost chasing happiness in these things when all they do is pull, typically, you know? So, and I just didn't realize it, you know, I was always chasing that, expecting to be happy. But through that rehab stint, I started to develop a new habit, a new lifestyle, a new version, new identity of myself. And I carried that one outside of that rehab center into back into normal life. And I took time collapse. My first job outside of that rehab center was getting myself out of those odds and end jobs, which was like irrigation, landscaping, sheetrock work, being a helper, and got myself a job at a gym at a front desk position, just an entry level position. I just knew that it would get me out of the normal that I was doing, and it would get me a free gym membership because I started to realize what the gym, what fitness, exercising was doing for me. It made me feel great. And I noticed not only the strength gains, but the mental gains in myself. So fast forward another couple of years, I decided I wanted to pursue this type of lifestyle, helping others like I did myself. So got into personal training, did that for a little bit, working for another gym, a Gold's Gym, and realized that the way things were set up in that Gold's Gym, I wasn't able to really deep dive into these clients. They were more or less churn and burn. They would sign up for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, which is time to really get momentum built and cultivate some progress, some results. But it wasn't enough time one-on-one with me and these clients create the mindset shift that needed to happen, because the physical work everybody can do. Everybody knows they should work out more, they should move their body more, and people would get results in 6 to 8 weeks. But as soon as they would get those results, they would get back in their old ways, their old lifestyle, which would totally reverse most of the time or make it worse. They'd show back even heavier or more out of shape, more unhappy. So once I started to take the leap into my own coaching and being able to not hand select, more so control the amount of time and the process per se of the coaching, I was able to implement more mindset training into this, more habit building, more process building, instead of just, hey, go do 3 sets of 10 type of deal.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you the mindset about this too, because sometimes these moments that are line in the sand moments of just like, I can only imagine waking up that first time that you saw yourself with broken legs in this big gaping hole in your stomach, that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm about to die or something. Like,
Yeah.
there's some big, like, tragic things like, oh my gosh. And then, as you're building your muscle, it's like, it's hurting, it's painful.
Yeah.
But it's also like the good pain that you want while you're building muscle, that you start getting addicted to in a way.
Yes,
That's what like fitness
definitely.
is. And then it's like, how was your family through this? Were they around? Were they supportive? Talk about a little bit of that.
It happened on the date of my wreck happened on Mother's Day. So it was May 9th, 2010.
What a
And
gift.
wasn't the
That's
greatest
a
Mother's
gift.
Day gift. But yeah, most of my close family and everybody was truly supportive. And they obviously called me a dumbass for what I did, but they didn't say that till later down the road. And they realized that I knew that. I was ready to definitely get away from those old habits and old lifestyle. But no, everybody was super supportive. And at the time in that hospital, looking down, the biggest thing, it's a lot of people, they think like that, which I didn't realize it till I went through it myself, is that what wasn't going to kill me was like the actual wreck itself. It was going to be the infections that I was getting after the wreck. And that was
Oh,
the biggest hurdle throughout that whole 6 week stay at the hospital, was fighting infection from my gut sort of just exploding in my body. When that happens, all your food and
yeah,
digestive juices and everything just gets spread throughout your body and causes massive infection. So for the long time, they brought the chaplain in. Like, it wasn't looking good for me. And then one day, my fever started to break. White blood cell count was starting to go down, and things were starting to look good. Thank God.
yeah. That's scary moments with life and
Yeah.
death sort of thing. You definitely don't take for granted those life and death things anymore. Yeah.
No.
Talk about the resilience mindset, because you transitioned out from day jobs to really the alignment of your goal of like, hey, I want to get in this fitness. I know how much it helped me,
Yep.
like get into that, and then now transition with helping people, and that's a noble effort too, because you're helping serve people, which gives you a lot of significance and fulfillment. Now you have your own gym and you train
Yep.
people doing it online. Like, so many times I think people don't always have those line of the sand moments like you had. And
Nope.
so they have to install it and they have to
Yes.
force it. And that's hard. Like, talk about taking on a new client, and even for our listeners here, of like the new shift in the mindset of like, if they haven't applied fitness as a core part of their life, how they could do it and how important is it?
For me, obviously, my path was a little bit different, but for many of my clients, the the path illuminates as you walk it. So you don't know what direction you should take, probably purpose or passion wise, until you just start taking steps forward. And
Mm,
at least in my opinion, and for most everybody, when they think about it, when I break it down, is the best path to start is with you, within you. So if you can build a more resilient, more disciplined physical and mental version of yourself, that version will be able to do anything you choose to do that much better.
mm,
I mean, you can't expect your current version or a lesser version of you to be able to get these crazy outcomes or opportunities or results. The better, stronger, mentally fit version, disciplined version of you, which is built through daily habits and controlling the controllables, that I can definitely dive into a little bit more. But once you can start to bring discipline into those things, which are daily earned, uh, you'll start to cultivate momentum in a lot of other areas, and opportunities open up. I mean, it's happened for me multiple times. And even with my clients, usually if they're entrepreneurs, they start to get more disciplined with their business, with their daily structure within their business, backwards planning better instead of just winging it and just, I don't feel like it today. And that's probably the biggest issue with most people in starting anything and finding their passion or taking that first step is just the emotional problem. It's not a discipline problem. It's an emotion problem. People, and I can get lost in that test too. It's a test when it pops up. We all have emotions throughout the day, and we have to realize that it is the test to show either we deserve or don't deserve by the action or inaction that we take. At the end of the day, we're the reason for our problems, but we're also the solution to our problems.
Yeah, I know for me, when I started getting this transformation, like I grew up as an athlete, right? And then many times when people don't have those things around them, they start losing it, right? And this is where you see the dad bod, where they're a little more stressed, a little more worried. They got more responsibility on their shoulders with maybe kids, and they, have they just start building up, women, after having kids, sometimes they have these just challenges in life, the seasons in life where now they have to bounce back. And it's a new sort of thing that they have to learn. But what I like to hear from you too is that if you just apply it as a daily part of your life, right?
Yes.
And I want to ask you on this too, is there's habits and disciplines for sure, but it's more of like a set standard and new values that you kind of build and anchor in. It's just like, now I am someone that works out. I'm health conscious. Like I wake up early, I'm fit, and you just have those like primed mental realignment of your identity of like, this is who you are. And it's not going to be easy too. Like talk about like with the clients you work with, it's not easy to start off doing this. It's like, it's a new habit. It's a new identity. So it's like, you're going to fail. You're going to have these challenges, but it's like the shift.
Yeah. It's still not easy for me. I mean, daily, to swing my legs off the bed, to go get a workout in first thing in the morning before my job, just like everybody else, it's just as tough for me. But it's a skill that's built. All these things, this discipline, this working out, this waking up earlier, this making the time, it's a skill just like anything else. You suck at first. It's going to be tough at first. You want to learn how to play the piano better, you're probably going to suck at first. And the more you attempt it, the more you do it, the more intent you give it, the better you'll get at it. I mean, are you going to be like the greatest ever? Is it going to be always easy? Probably not. I mean, some things click better than others, but you just can't be the mindset that I get, that I see a lot, and that I have to even talk to myself a lot about is, I'm not the only person in the world that has these problems. I'm not the Guinness World Record holder of having a job, paying my taxes, paying my bills, eating, all the bare minimum things of life. That's average. If you want to be average, continue doing that. But to be extraordinary, you're going to have to do extra,
Yeah.
And I want to get back to like the standard. There's something within my group that, and I'm glad you sort of mentioned that there's something within my group that I try and explain to everybody when they first start working with me is building like an identity book or a brand book for yourself. Almost like a business or a company as a brand book of things they do, things they don't do, what their brand looks like and what their brand doesn't look like, what they associate with, what they don't associate with. Having those things of like, all right, what does Austin do? Does he control his wake up time? Does he control what he eats and make better decisions? Does he do the workouts? Is he consistent? Or does he just fall into emotion, do it when he feels like it? Does he sleep in because because he can, whatever. Building a brand book of what that future version of yourself, everybody has a person they admire. I do. I'm sure you do as well. You might follow somebody on social media or somebody that's maybe around you at work or a celebrity, preferably not. They're not the greatest examples to follow, but there's somebody that you admire. How does that person conduct themselves? And start doing that.
That's good. Let me ask you this. So many times people are like, I'm going to have to give up and change everything. It's like the diet needs to change, your fitness, your allotted time. But there is an aspect of, the fitness part that is, like the abs are made in the kitchen, like the 80-20 rule, right? Talk about like some of those things where people can really still have a good time. They can enjoy their family, having good meals, but it's not as rigid, as some things. Talk about how people can have a good, strong lifestyle with also following their macros and doing
Yeah.
They're
I'm
partly
glad you
being.
mentioned macros. So getting back to sacrifices and I'm going to have to give up this. There's an opportunity cost for everything in life. If you want to
Mhm.
get to the next level, it's probably not going to fit your timeline. It's probably not going to fit your schedule. It's probably not going to fit your comfort level. It might not fit your wallet. But to get to the next level, it's going to cause growing pains. There's going to be opportunity costs there, or sacrifices that people say. I have to deal with them. I have to pay them just like everybody else. But getting to like living life still, you can navigate through life and still be aligned with your long-term goals. It's not about what you do one day here, this holiday, that birthday, or that one meal. It's what you do with the other 350, 360 days of the year. It's what you can consistently do most of the time. And then within my group, I'm not some militant guys like, oh, you got to eat this, that, and this, or else, or you're never going to get results. No, it's horseshoes and hand grenades. We're just trying to get close every day. If you can
Mm.
just be somewhat consistent and somewhat close, just like horseshoes, throwing a horseshoe to a horseshoe pit or throwing a grenade at somebody, you just got to get close and you'll win. That's it. So when you go out, you can still indulge here or there. Once you do, you close the door and you get right back to what you know you should be doing, whether it's getting back to that workout or eating those foods. But the thing that helps me and most of my clients, I've been living this way for obviously over a decade now, is tracking my macros. And with that, you can fit whatever foods typically you want into it. You want some pizza, you eat some pizza. That's just an example of a food, but like you want some ice cream, you can eat some ice cream. You can make these things fit. You may not be able
Mhm.
to eat as much as you want because there is a reality we have to deal with. Things do have calories, things do have a certain cost when we eat or do them. But you can make these things fit within margin and still have fun, live life. I still indulge in alcohol still, even though I was in that drunk driving accident over a decade, but I still can have a drink or a glass of wine with my wife and still be on par, on goal. You just can't let these events or these days of maybe like a holiday or a work trip or like a vacation throw you off the rest of the month.
Mhm.
They let a week of travel or a birthday event throw off their whole week. I messed up on Tuesday, so I'm going to restart back Monday. No, you just start back again Wednesday. Close the door. Don't leave the door cracked. Close the door. Get right back to it. You won't skip a beat because one bad meal isn't going to make you fat. One good meal ain't going to make you skinny.
Yeah. Let me ask you some tactics of how you've built your business so far.
Yeah.
You have a online, YouTube channel, Instagram channel, Facebook. What's your strategy right now to get clients?
Strategy is comprised of a few different daily tasks that I do. Uh, the biggest focus for me is Instagram. And within Instagram, I try and post my daily process and what I do to create the results within myself and post what my clients do for the most part when they tag me, showing client wins, social proof with that. And I also throw up a lot of Q&As once or twice a week, asking questions with followers, whatever things they might want to learn about coaching, nutrition, training, or just anything else I'm doing with the real estate or life. Uh, and then also I do cold DMs. So every day I have a set amount of people that are a total number of DMs that I'm going to reach out to, and I'm going to find people that sort of look like they may be interesting to me. I'm not just reaching out to any random person on there. I'm typically searching for people that are either local or within my friend groups or within my client friend groups that maybe might have some questions or just spark up conversations. Just say, if I see maybe a post that they posted about a PR or something they're working on, something that's interesting to me, I'll reach out to them. But typically, I do some cold DMs throughout the day as well. And podcasts. Podcasts are a great way to collaborate and reach other audiences, and hopefully get some value and spark that flip of the switch for them to take action in their own life. And then YouTube as well. I've been trying to get back on there a little bit more consistent. That's a lot more time consuming, but it is evergreen. So I do like the fact that I can throw something up there and it can always get views later on.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's stacking on that stuff. Do you have a funnel you use, or is it just mostly outreach and conversations through DMs?
Outreach and conversations, and obviously word of mouth with the clients that I do have.
Yeah. How has YouTube been with it being evergreen? I mean, I think many people have that as like they want to do it, they need to do it. Has that been really helpful for you and just consistent? brand awareness and growth?
It's not as consistent as Instagram is, with me actually being like engaging, starting the conversations, because most people, they almost need permission to start a conversation, or to ask a question. You almost have to ask them if they have a question. Most people are either too timid or too, not insecure, but aren't confident enough. They might see me from face value and be like, oh, I'm scared to ask him something. So I've noticed Instagram has been a lot more beneficial for me, as far as like direct return and just starting conversation engagement per se, building some type of relationships in there. YouTube has trickled in stuff, because I do have a few videos that are way back in the past that got a good amount of views and consistently get messages from. But that is just something that I'm just trying to build brand around. I guess more so is just trying to be showing a little bit more of my life, maybe find questions or like more topics that I can answer in long form on there than rather I could on Instagram. And a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about on my YouTube are questions that I do get in the DMs on Instagram. So I'm sort of repurposing those and being able to relay them in a little bit longer format on YouTube in the
So
future.
how many of those do you do reach out each day?
Right now it's averaging about 30 a day.
Right on. Do you have a team that's doing that for you, or do you do that yourself?
Me.
Yeah. What does that conversation drip look like? I'm just curious.
Like I said, typically it's something or somebody that's doing something that I'm interested in, so I can at least have a genuine conversation. Like for example, there was a guy that was racing trucks yesterday that I had probably like a 30-minute conversation with. Is he going to sign up? Who knows? He gave me a follow back. So like, these things is more so to try and get them into the funnel of them at least following me and then them engaging with me throughout my stories. As I post a shit ton through my stories, I post those Q&As. So it's all free. And the more I can focus on that, since I have a lot of time in between in-person clients here, that's been the best, I guess, asset or tool so far.
Yeah. Let me ask you a twofold question that we can, do this is, what should people do to start on their fitness journey? And if they're really trying to ramp up in their coaching company, what could they do and what should they do?
So to start their fitness journey, they need to just start. Because a lot of people, getting back to, I guess, there's not really an education issue. YouTube, Google, there's thousands of training plans out there. There's thousands of meal plans that are free. Chat GPT, come on, like you can get started. The knowledge is out there, probably way more knowledgeable than me. I stick with the basics. I stick with just tried and true meat and potatoes that works. It's just compounding consistency, but it's not an education issue. It's an application issue. People just don't take the first step.
Right.
Take the first step. And the thing is drawing a hard line by either saying, all right, not tomorrow, I'm starting today. Because the more you say tomorrow, the more you say Monday, next Monday, I'm starting Monday, the more you're going to bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You need to start today. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now, like literally right now. So if you're watching this, whether it's the morning or even the evening, start planning your shit together, either to get yourself ready for tomorrow and backwards plan your day, or if the day's still young while you're watching this, go get that walk in. Start getting momentum built. Start casting votes into that new identity of yourself, which is a fit, healthy, active person.
Love it. And then how should they grow their coaching company? If they were starting one up, how should they start and get going?
You're only as good as the example you set. So if you don't live the lifestyle, if you truly aren't living it, you won't be able to relay or relate. You won't be able to. I think I run into other coaches that reach out to me and it's twofold. Either they aren't 100% into what they're trying to offer as far as like the coaching that they do, they either don't look the part. It's hypothetical, it's hypocritical. Unless you have the results, for me at least, unless you have the results that I want, I can't listen to you.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can talk like you can talk like, oh, I can get you this, I can get you that. But if you don't have it yourself, I physically can't listen to you. And that should be the way for most clients reaching out to a coach. If they don't have the results, then it's like, all right. I mean, there are people that can lead but don't do, or teach but don't do, but it's rare in my case that I've ever come across. So being the example, leading that way, it's not the best way to lead, it's the only way to lead. And getting more comfortable with showing what's worked for you. So social media, it's free. That's where engagement eyeballs are. That's where attention is. Pick up the camera, start posting on your stories. That's what's worked for me. Bulk of my clients reach out to me through stories. They see something enough. They see a process enough. They start seeing the work, the daily consistency enough to where it gets them to, all right, damn, I want what Austin's got. He's got that discipline. He's got that confidence. He shows up every day. Damn it, let me hit him up.
Yeah. How can people connect with you further, Austin?
Social media, Instagram.
Okay.
I'm super active on Instagram. So at @pageman, I'm always in my stories, posting my daily process and Q&As and whatnot. So jump in, catch up, say what's up. If you have any questions, holler at me.
Awesome. I'll leave that down in the show notes. Go follow Austin. Cool
Please.
guy, definitely knowledgeable in the fitness space. So go check him out, follow him for more stuff on everything. If you haven't already, down below in the show notes, again, if you're looking to grow and scale online, I have a full training that someone should pick up and watch. It's going to be really helpful, a guide for you. Go check that out. Thank you again for tuning into the podcast here and connecting with Austin. We will see you on the next episode.